Hey Jazz, how you doing? It's been a minute, but I miss you and I wish we talked more. But I wanted to answer your question the best way I could, since I am considered like a helicopter parent. I am one of those parents that will not let their kids go to sleepovers. And you touched on that in this video, so I wanted to answer your question. First of all, I want to say I think that there's a misconception that just because I'd rather my kids be sheltered doesn't mean that I'm going to equip them with everything they need in case that they run into these situations later in life anyway, because they're going to, because our world sucks. It's the reality of it. However, it is my belief that kids lack the life experience to make good choices. For example, if an adult tells me this is hot, I know that that's hot. I'm not going to touch it because they said that that's hot, and it's probably true. However, a kid might test that boundary. Is it really hot? Let me find out myself. Let me get burned and find out myself. I would just hate to let my child get burned to find out, especially if I could just prevent it from happening in the first place. So when you bring up your question about sleepovers, you're like, well, if something were to happen, I would just tell my daughter to call me. What happens if the situation is kind of like a grooming type situation? What happens if your daughter starts to get a little crush on the 20-year-old brother that stays in the basement? And then we all know how that ends. But to her, that's normal. That's okay. But as an adult, you can look at that and realize, no, that's not okay. But not as a child. Even looking at it from a religious standpoint. If you are using God as an example for your parenting, you're supposed to be their shepherd. You're supposed to protect them and keep them. They're your children. And in my eyes, it's my job to protect my children until I can't anymore. Until it becomes their own job. Will I still give them everything they need to handle those situations if it were to happen? Yes. But if I can prevent it from happening, I'm going to. You know what I'm saying? No risks here. I'm not a risk taker. These are my children. I don't play about mine. And that's just how I feel. That's how I answer your question. If something happened to them in a situation that I could prevent, it would stay on my heart forever. Forever. I would never be able to let that go.